So, ladies and gentlemen, this is another one of our requests for our vintage sports file. It comes from our good friend of the channel, Bo Sheaves of Woodstock, New Brunswick, who loves this guy as much as I do. He said, why don't you do something on John Garrett? We grew up watching him play. We appreciate his commentary as a color man, and Bo, this is for you. Now, John Garrett, probably, if he's not the one of the most popular players and announcers of all time, it's pretty close. Now, the native of Trenton, Ontario, 5'8", 175 pounds, came to major prominence with the Peter Peach of the WHA Junior League. Now, it was very strange. That year, ladies and gentlemen, he played 48 games in the OHA, but joined the Montreal Junior Canadiens for the Memorial Cup, where he won 7 games in 9 starts. Now, what was kind of ironic here was very rare that a player would go from one team to the other. But Peterborough and Montreal had affiliates with the Habs at the time, so it wasn't a surprise. Now, second year with Peterborough, he put up 51 games and with a great 2.96 average. Now, his great season with Peterborough came to major prominence with the St. Louis Blues, who decided to draft him. And it's kind of ironic, ladies and gentlemen, he came in right before the WHA. And being taken 38 overall, we knew he was probably going to find a spot with the Blues someday, but he eventually was called to the WHA. Now, after 72 season with Kansas City Blues, which is the Blues affiliate to CHL, 13-14-7 in record, he found himself 54 games combination with the Portland Buckaroos and the Richmond Robins, 54 games that year with a 3.27 average. Now, 1974 was a turning point in his career. Again, he eventually signed with the Minnesota Fighting Saints of the WHA as a free agent of 74, and he was one of the top teams with the association. Now, over 3 seasons, he averaged 25 wins, 21, 30, and 26, with a very strong average, and he was part of Minnesota's AFCO Cup run, just failed to make the finals in 75, 6-6 record. Now, he graduated to the Toronto Toros at the end of the 76 season, 3-6 record, then played with the Birmingham Bulls in 77, or the Baby Bulls as we call them. Over 2 seasons, he averaged 24 wins, with again around a 3.6 goals against average. And again, it was a diminutive size player. And John was, like I said, a very genial guy. And he ended up having several nicknames. I know one of them was Cheech, because he looked like Cheech from Cheech and Chong. Now, he left the team, the Fighting Saints, February 25th, 76. And then when he signed with the Toros, he followed the franchise when he relocated to Birmingham. Now, in his final WHA season, Garrett was traded to New England Whalers and remained with the franchise when it entered the NHL. He holds the record for the most wins by any goalie in WHA history, which shows his durability. He also played for the Quebec Nordiques and the Vancouver Canucks of the NHL before retiring at the start of the 85-86 season. Now, John Garrett was involved, again, what Bo had mentioned, in one of the oddest scenarios in the history of the NHL All-Star Game, replacing an injured Richard Brodeur, the Vancouver Canucks' only representative at the 83 All-Star Game that year. John Garrett was his replacement and was voted the game's MVP before the end of the game. After Wayne Gretzky scored 4 times in the last 10 minutes, a revote was held and Gretzky was named All-Star Game MVP. Very bizarre. Now, when Garrett retired before the 85-86 season, he had been offered a position of assistant GM by Canucks GM Harry Neal. But Neal was fired and the offer was eventually withdrawn. Now, because of his contacts in hockey and his good way with players and management alike, he was approached by CBC and I think CTV as well to be a colorman. He started his broadcasting career in 86-87 on Hockey Night in Canada, again as a color man. Now, within a few years, he was considered one of the most valuable members of the team and was assigned his first conference final in '91, Western Conference, his first of 8 in a row. Now, during that time, he was also a color commentary on Edmonton Oilers local telecasts, working along veteran announcer Bruce Buchanan. Now, he left CBC in 98 to join the fledgling CTV Sportsnet, which is now called Rogers Sportsnet. He worked as a studio analyst on national broadcasts, and he was also the color commentator for the Calgary Flames games on Sportsnet West. Now, during the 94 NHL lockout, he also briefly worked for United Personal Service of Canada and Vancouver, so busy on and off the ice as usual. Now, since the 2003 season, Garrett has served as a color commentator for Canucks games on Sportsnet Pacific, first being partnered with Jim Hewson and later John Shorthouse. He also has occasional network assignments on HNIC since Rogers acquired the Canadian national contract for NHL Hockey Night in Canada in 2014. He also sometimes gets network assignments on either Sportsnet and when City was showing the NHL broadcast. Now, talking about the nicknames, after the 84-85 season, Garrett earned the nickname Lotto because his high goals against average of .649 was the same as the Canada's national lottery, called, of course, Lotto 649. Now, Garrett picked up his Cheech nickname from teammate Rick Smith, who I've interviewed before as part of the Boston Alumni Program in the mid-70s. His afro haircut and mustache made him resemble, again, Cheech from the duo Cheech and Chong. Now, I'm going to go over his NHL totals very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. He only had a couple of winning seasons in the NHL, but he was a sturdy backup. After being number one in Hartford, he served backup duties in Hartford, Quebec, eventually Vancouver for a few seasons. But like I said, that last season in 85, before being sent to the Franklin Express, and of course any person back in the 80s that played for the Express became a legend. But ladies and gentlemen, that 649 season, just a reminder, 1 in 5 in 10 games, 44 goals against, a 6.49 average. You can't make this up. So final WHA totals, most wins in WHA history despite being sub 500 for his time there. 148, 151 and 15, 18,919 minutes played, 14 shutouts, 3.52 average, 15-15 in the playoffs, 1 shutout, and 410. And with the NHL, 68, 91 and 37, 1 shutout, 4 and 3 in the playoffs with those shutouts. And again, average around 4.3. So not the greatest goalie in the history of the NHL, but just like Chico Resch and the other great goalies that became great announcers, John is a great storyteller, a very genial guy. If you ever meet him, you'll know right away he's probably one of the most intelligent announcers that CTV and CBC's ever had. And if John Garrett notices something with a bad play or a bad shot, take it at heart, because he played with some of the rougher teams of his era. Like Hartford and Quebec had some rough years, especially in the playoffs. But 82, by the way, just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, he was part of that Nordic squad that knocked off the Habs. So he could probably tell you tons of stories of that. And of course was part of the revival of the Canucks in the mid-1980s in those 3 seasons, where again he became one of the most popular players on the Western Conference side. And there's rumors that the Franklin Express, allegedly, some people asked him to also be goalie coach. But I think working for Hockey Night in Canada paid a little bit more, as we like to say. So that's the legend of John Garrett. Goes out to our great follower of the channel, Bo Sheaves. And in the words of Bo Sheaves, keep your stick on the ice. Have a good day. Bye.